It's time for the first March Adversaries event, and it's Narcissa Malfoy. I'm Professor Voqas, and this is Harry Potter Wizards Unite.
Hello, Professor. I didn't see you there.
As I mentioned in my guide, this is a midweek adversary event, which is unfortunate because of having to crunch all these events into March, but it is just Narcissa Malfoy, so that is good that it's just one adversary, I suppose. The event begins March 16th, which is Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and goes through Thursday, 11 p.m. Pacific time. And one thing I do want to go over, and I didn't think about this, someone mentioned it in the comments of my guide. Living in the United States, I guess I'm just used to this whole hour shift. But we did just go through daylight savings for most of the United States that does observe it. So for any of my international viewers, Pacific time now is GMT UTC -7. It is -7 now. So we've essentially jumped forward an hour. So recent events that started at a certain time for you will now actually start 1 hour different. So you'll just need to look in that and just look at what Pacific time is compared to your time right now. Just something to be aware of, or else you're going to miss an hour in an event on either side. As with the other adversary events, the master notes for the extimulo potions, all three of them, regular, strong, and potent, as well as witch sharpening potion, will all reduce the brew time by 50%, which is good. When we get to the task, we'll talk about why that's good. And then in addition, the witch sharpening ingredients will also all be spawning more often on the ground, so you have just a greater chance to find them, and so you can brew witch sharpening potions, which you can use against Narcissa. As with most events, there are some bundles in the store. Again, nothing that spectacular that I even feel I need to mention, except to mention that the free bundle, the Adversary Starter Kit, and you can see it right here, I believe, has an edible dark mark, so be sure to claim that. It also has 2 healing potions, an extimulo potion, and 30 spell energy. So free potions, free edible dark mark, which I think is probably the biggest thing. Just remember to claim that sometime within that 2-day span, well, 2.5-day span that this event happens. Moving on to the tasks themselves. The first one is to use Master Notes 8 times, which is going to get you 2 strong extimulo potions, which again, because of the shorter brew time from Master Notes, during the event, it would be good, obviously, to do one of the extimulos or witch sharpenings, really depending on what you need. For me, it'll probably be extimulos just because that's going to go faster. And it's not like this is a brilliant event where we have more days. This is a much more limited time event, although at least you don't have to be playing the game to do this. Just have your notifications on so when a potion's done, you get that notification, you can go into the game, enter the new master notes, and then just close the game. If you don't have time to play, if you're just in the store, if you're even at work, hopefully you can at least pick up your phone to do that small bit just to keep your master notes moving along to finish out the 8. The next task is an interesting one. It's to defeat 13 leprechauns. It's going to get you 10 gold coins, which I think all of it's very topical. It has nothing to do with Narcissa specifically, but the leprechauns, because St. Patrick's Day is right around this time, and then 13 of them is odd just because, you know, normally 13, for at least in the United States, is considered an unlucky number, although I do like the number and will pick it for a lot of things, but consider it an unlucky number. And then, of course, you're getting gold coins at the end because leprechauns. So very cute task. I'm fine with it. The only thing they didn't mention, although we can assume from this task, is that leprechauns will be appearing more often, I would hope, during this. And a side note, I don't know about you guys, but when I encountered leprechauns first, you know, they come out and they do their little moves, and then you usually one-shot them. And I always feel so bad that, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I will actually not hit them, let them take one shot at me, and then I'll knock them out, just so I feel a little better about knocking them out and returning them as a foundable. Complete 3 wizarding challenges in Forest Chamber 4 or higher gets you 6 Snowdrop, which Snowdrop are used for extimulo potions, so that works well, and it's one of the harder ingredients, for me at least, to get for extimulo potions. So for me, if I wanted to brew and I was out of it, this would be a good task for me to finish. Now keep in mind that is Forest Chamber 4 or higher, which I can see being a problem, actually, because if you are a newer player and you haven't made it through the chambers up to Forest 4 or higher, I don't know how they expect you to ever finish this event. You can't get through it unless you get through more wizarding challenges. But if you're kind of level stopped because you just can't beat them because you're not high enough level, then that will be difficult, and you would, I guess, end up having to go with groups. But still, you might have a long way to go if you only have unlocked to, say, Ruins 5 or Tower 1. So newer players, if you're wondering how to complete this, the only thing I can say is really try to get your chambers going and really start to try to unlock, and maybe try to get on the night bus and get with groups to unlock up to at least Forest 4, and then go ahead and you can run some at that point. You probably aren't going to be able to solo it right when you unlock it. You'll definitely need to be in groups. But again, it's very odd that they would put this as a requirement when some people maybe can't even access it at this point. Next up is to use 10 Extimulo. It says any, so regular, strong, or potent. It's going to get you some spell energy. This one I'm not so bad. I'm fine with, even though it is potion use, it is a Narcissa event. That's an adversary I have to use the potions against anyway, so I won't feel like they're going to waste. It's not making them use them in wizarding challenges. You can use them anywhere. So for me, all 10 of those, I can tell you, are going to be from fighting Narcissa, because Narcissa, I'm at least going to throw a strong at her, usually even a potent, just to kind of get through her quicker. Earn 1,500 challenge experience through wizarding challenges and adversary chains to get you 1 silver key. Between the Forest 4 chambers, having to do 3 of those or higher, and fighting the Narcissa chains, you should have a decent amount of challenge experience. You probably will maybe need a little bit more, in which case I would recommend you go back into fortresses. Adversaries just don't get you much challenge experience compared to the same amount of energy and time in a fortress is going to get you more, bigger chunks of it. Keep in mind this is challenge experience, so Barufio's does not double that. It's not going to make it any quicker. Barufio's get you wizarding experience, which is what helps you level up. Challenge experience is for the challenge registry specifically, to rank you up there and get you spell books. Deal 25,000 damage to adversaries to get you 1 defense against dark arts books. Now, keep in mind, it doesn't say Narcissa, so if there are other adversaries and you fight them, that should count toward this as well, because usually during these events, it seems like there are other adversaries out at the same time, and if you use like edible dark marks, they tend to not produce too many of the event foundable. There is an increased rate, but it's just not increased enough. I've definitely done edible dark marks during events like this where I got none of them, when there was maybe even 2 I could have gotten. So it's not a huge increase, which means you'll get other adversaries if you decide to use edible dark marks, but at least the damage that you're doing to them is still going to count toward this goal. Defeat Narcissa 4 times. That's going to get you 1 defense against the dark arts book, but this is what the event's about anyway. It just means you have to go all the way through the chain, and we're going to talk about the chain as soon as I get done with the tasks here, but you just need to make it to Narcissa and defeat her, so you can't just fight her, you do need to win the battle. Return 20 artifact fragments from the Narcissa Malfoy chain. Now, if you haven't played a lot and you're probably wondering, what are they talking about artifact fragments? On Narcissa's page in the challenge registry, and she's all the way down at the bottom, so if you're in the challenge registry, Malfoy's at the top, she's at the bottom. As you go through the chain, you're going to fight 1 guard, then you're going to fight another guard, then you're going to fight her. The first guard's going to get you a fragment. The second guard's going to give you a fragment of something. One of the things that are on her page, one of the stickers, so to speak. And then when you fight Narcissa, she's going to give you a fragment of herself. That counts as an artifact fragment. And then she gives you a bonus fragment. So every time you go through the chain, you're going to get 4 of them. You already have to defeat her 4 times, so you should have 16 fragments right there. 4 times through her, 4 fragments per. You'll have 16, which means you just need to go through her chain 1 more time fully. That'll get you 4 more fragments, and then you'll make it to 20 fragments. Keep in mind, once you've defeated her 4 times, if for some reason you didn't want to have to fight her again, you could go through the first 2 guards, get their 2 fragments, and then just back out. And then go into another Narcissa, defeat the 2 guards, get 2 more fragments, and back out. You can get your fragments that way as well, but since you have to defeat her 4 times, you're kind of already there. You might as well just beat her a 5th time. If you complete all those tasks, they are going to give you another edible dark mark, and then they're going to give you 5 defense against the dark arts books. And then some spell energy, wizarding coins, that kind of stuff. But keep in mind, for this event, they're not making us use an edible dark mark. Previous ones have had use an edible dark mark. So between the bundle, the free bundle, you get an edible dark mark. And if you're able to complete all these tasks, a second edible dark mark, doing this event does gain you 2 edible dark marks that they're not making us use, which is great. And if the adversaries are spawning enough, hopefully we don't have to use edible dark marks. And as I said, in general, they just don't produce enough of the event adversary for me to make it worthwhile. I've been hoarding my edible dark marks until a time when I really feel I need them. I think I've popped one just to try it out, and maybe it's two at this point. I might have done one for a video as well, just to show how they appear. Mainly that one pops up right away, another one pops about 10 minutes later, and then the last one pops around the 21-minute mark, and that they only give you 3 and that kind of thing. So anyway, if nothing else, this event's getting us some Defense Against Dark Arts books, and then getting us a couple edible dark marks. So looking at Narcissa Malfoy's chain, the foes you're going to need to fight to get to her. It starts out with a Formidable Snatcher. Formidable Snatchers, professors have proficiency against them, so we should have an advantage. I say we because I am a professor. And then the second one is the Dark Witch. Ours should have an advantage against that. And then Narcissa herself, this is interesting because the adversaries, in general, nobody ever has a proficiency against it. The guards, you will be proficient. Just like in a fortress, you're proficient against one foe versus another. And other ones, you're a lower proficiency against. You're actually at a disadvantage. The final boss, the feared adversary, is usually supposed to be just proficient neutral. Everyone kind of has an equal chance. In Narcissa's case, it's a little different. It's subtle, but the idea is she actually has kind of a high dodge rating. She has a high chance to dodge. And this is where professors, at least, our accuracy is pretty good in our skill tree when you've built it up. So I find that Narcissa doesn't dodge me much. She's dodged me either 0 times or 1 time every time I've fought her. And I think I've fought her 10 times so far, which does make it easier for me to beat her. It's not that I'm proficient against her, but it definitely seems like it's easier. And I've definitely seen reports on Reddit and Discord of Aurors talking about her just dodging and dodging and dodging, making it really difficult for them to defeat her without having to continually pop potions. So although we don't specifically get an advantage for Narcissa herself, it does end up taking Aurors, I think, more usually because of that dodge mechanic. Which really makes me worried for when we get to the lethal adversaries, because the nodes that we unlock to help against them all talk about our accuracy improving, like they're just going to dodge us like crazy. So I'm really curious how it's going to be for especially Aurors when we get to that point, the lethal adversaries, and see how bad it is and how badly you need those nodes to make progress against them. But I digress. This is a Narcissa Malfoy event, which is still a feared adversary event. We haven't made it to lethals yet. I hope this video helps you prepare and then get through the event most efficient as possible for a midweek event. Try to set that time aside if you can. I hope you can make it through it and get through all of it. My newer players, I hope you're able to get up to Forest 4 or higher to at least be able to have a chance at completing the task. And if you find that I keep popping up on your feed and you're not subscribed yet, consider subscribing. It's free to do, and you can always unsubscribe later if you're getting bored of my videos. As always, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Nox.